Hello, class. Just want to talk to you guys about some Shakespeare stuff. I realize that most people look at Shakespeare and think it's a boring read. Well, there's a problem. It's meant to be read aloud. You can't necessarily get through Shakespeare without understanding what each character thinks, and the way that Shakespeare has codified their thinking is in the way they speak. For example, when you think of to be or not to be, people look at it and they read, to be or not to be, that is the question whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune or to take, and all of a sudden you are passed out, right? So here's the thing. You have to look at the stresses, and the only way you can actually do that is if you read it aloud. And when I say read it, I mean you got to get into it. For example, to be or not to be, that is the question, whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles and by opposing end them. So if you listen carefully, there are syllable beats, there are stressed syllables. In other words, to be or not to be, that is the question. Here's another thing. Shakespeare has codified the state of mind of each of his characters in the terms of the syllable count. And it's kind of funny to say. If you count out the syllables in iambic pentameter, you should have 10. To be or not to be, that is the question. So already we know that Hamlet is not all there, right? He's gone off his rocker. He's not thinking soundly. He's not thinking in a stable sense of mind. Other monologues that Shakespeare has, for example, Titus Andronicus. Come, come, Lavinia, look, thy foes are, bound. Unless it's come, come, Lavinia, look, thy foes are bound. Titus Andronicus is about to murder the two boys who raped and defiled his daughter. And in doing so, he's giving them the speech as to why he's doing this, because you have to read the book, you have to read the play, watch the play. But his frame of mind, he's actually quite sane in this. O villains, Chiron and Demetrius, here stands the spring whom you have stained with mud, this goodly summer with your winter mixed. Those are a few lines where he's actually not gone off his rocker, where it's 10 syllables per line, right? When we go back to Hamlet, to be or not to be, that is the question, whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer. It's not iambic. He's off on 11 syllables. Fun stuff. You can actually pluck out any verse in Shakespeare. I say verse because there are two different things. There's verse and there's prose. But if you look at the verse and you read it carefully and you listen for the syllables and you listen to the words that are stressed, you can actually figure out what the character's state of mind is, right? Another example from Much Ado About Nothing, the character Benedick, who is one of the main characters. He is actually the main character. He is made to fall in love with Beatrice, but in order to do so, his friends and her friends have to twist them to see each other as actual romantic partners. He is coming into a party, or he's about to leave a party when he's asked to stick around and listen to Beatrice talk, and he says, "Oh, she misused me past the endurance of a block. She told me, not thinking I had been myself, that I was the prince's jester." Plenty of stressed words, right? Oh, she misused me past the endurance of a block. He is not in his sane mind. If I'm not mistaken, is that verse? Is that verse or is it prose? In any case, you listen for those stressed words, all right? You have to read Shakespeare in order for you to actually, and I mean literally, speak it aloud in order for it to make any sense. Otherwise, it's just words on a page, and you'll fall asleep in the book.